Tamara Brooks. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
And tell everybody kind of what all that you do, which is a lot. I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, no, my day gig is I work at Loot Crate, and within that I write, if there's inserts in your crates, there's stuff on the website, some social media stuff.
What are returns? Do you do the returns?
I don't do the returns, but sometimes I do write the content down. And I was also the daily crate with the mail, which is kind of my favorite one. So
So can I get you to retweet these?
yes.
Okay.
Also, I do some home writing for various entertainment sites. I come with resources in Sundry. And I do want to shout out to Tony Kim, who's not here today, but this is one of his jackets, Hero Within. It's Flash, because I, got to represent for the Flash panel today, which I did not have this for, but this is ready also today too. And it's dope because it's got pockets! Pockets and a hood.
So Dani Fernandez, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Kim and I saw Wonder Woman.
We saw it as a preview, and we both cried our eyes off. And
we cried our eyelashes off. It was very embarrassing because we had to be around people the rest of the night.
Important people.
Important people like Patty Jenkins. It was such a beautiful film. I actually, not only did I cry during the film, but when the credits were rolling, I cried during the credits thinking of things that happened in the film. So this movie, was everything. I watched it again last night. God, it holds up so well.
And you're a host for HyperRPG.
Yeah, I'm a host at HyperRPG. I have a Valiant sponsored RPG show there. I am hosting a horror movie night there on Sunday, which we're giving away a ton of horror goodies. So it's twitch.tv/HyperRPG. And I think this is like my 6th panel with you.
Yeah.
So she's got the hookup.
And the next gentleman is Michael Fitzgerald Troy. Every Wednesday, he writes a Wonder Woman Wednesday, and it's always fresh and new and different, and never repeating. And he writes a column every Wednesday. It's really...
That's correct. It's very, very good. And I write it for fanbasepress.com, and I'm also a comic book artist and writer. I've done a Lady Gaga tribute comic book a few years back, and I've done a Honey Boo Boo comic book. In my defense, she appears dressed as Wonder Woman in one of the pages, so that was making it easier to swallow. And Wonder Woman has changed the world in so many ways, and I'm so excited that we can talk about her new uprising.
Yeah. So, and the gentleman next to him is Michael DiAlicio. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So how many of you guys go to San Diego Comic-Con and know the Marvel booth? Woo! He is the man behind all of that.
I'm Marvel Mike. I'm panel. I'm Marvel Mike.
He's at like every red carpet premiere. He does the booth, the planning, everything.
Yeah.
He is the head there. And also you are Comics Cruise.
Yeah, I own, so January this year we did a cruise, we chartered an entire cruise called Fan2C, and now next year it'll be called Comics Cruise with an X in the middle. So we chartered the entire boat out of Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Next year we go, it's nothing but cosplay and comics, and we had the Stranger Things cast, and we had Walking Dead and Guardians of the Galaxy cast on there, and then all cosplayers and party, come to breakfast in a costume, go to panels, have fun. There's no bingo, no shuffleboard, it's all comics the whole day long, 24 hours a day. It was unreal to have that many great people. I won't call them nerds or geeks because you're all the normal, non-geek nerd people on the ship, but they came because they were fans of the TV shows and the movies. It was fantastic. But I'm also drawn into the Wonder Woman comic book as a character during Gail Simone's run for 6 issues, which was great, and it was very flattering that she cried while asking me if she could draw me in. So I was very flattered by her. So.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yes.
So yes, and last but not least, Stephen L. Sears, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Good. I call him the man behind Xena, Warrior Princess.
Very far behind Xena.
You were like director, executive producer, writer, that's why everyone, I went to a Xena convention with him, and he is the person. Everybody was kind of circling around.
Do you see Xena Wonder Woman back there?
Of course, that's Bernadette. Yay! Bernadette is awesome. She's actually one of the best Xena cosplayers out there. And I have so many pictures of her running up to me at cons, because I will scream at her, she'll scream at me. And almost every picture I have of her in the Xena outfit is this. So, but yes, I was a co-exec producer, one of the head writers on Xena Warrior Princess. And most of my work has been in television. I, believe it or not, was one of the writers on the original A-Team series way back then. I know, I was 12. But I worked on other shows, a lot of comic book shows. I worked on Swamp Thing, Superboy. I did a swing at the Xena bat a while back. And everything like Jesse Hawks, Hardcastle McCormick, JJ Starbuck, Raven, a bunch of different
It's my
shows.
childhood here.
And yeah, I've always been fascinated with the Wonder Woman character, just because I felt that so many times it was misused, misinterpreted, and that there was a strength and core that I was waiting for it to finally emerge. And as Jessica knows, because we talked about this, when the first rumblings about the movie were coming out, I was probably one of the most nervous people about it, even though I had nothing to do with it, because I wanted to see how this portrayal was going to come across. And I've also done a lot of panels that have to do with female empowerment in characters, film, and television. And when I started doing those about 15 years ago, I commented on this. There were actually all men on the panel. There were no women on the panel, ridiculous as that was. But we have made huge progress. And I noted one of the small but significant changes when I was walking through Best Buys just recently, going through the DVD racks, and I was trying to remember. I said, well, I have my Superman versus Batman DVD, and I looked over, and there it was, Superman versus Batman. Superman versus Batman. The two characters, Superman versus Batman. Go look at the cover. The center character is Wonder Woman, which is small but an awesome shift in the paradigm of our thinking.
Yeah. So you were talking about, you hit right on the head, the shift kind of in the thinking of, because all my life I've heard like, female leads, they don't sell films, we can't have it, we can't have her name in it. Like, people try to use Celine from Underworld, but it's not called that, it's called Underworld. They've changed movie titles where the name of the female character doesn't appear anymore. But starting from Kim all the way down to Steven, what is it about Wonder Woman 2017 that after you guys watched it, you were like, yes, game changer, this new era is gonna start?
It's like what you said, where people, or I guess we'd always hear from industry talks, women can't front movies, women don't sell tickets, people won't buy toys based on women, so we're not gonna make any of them, even if the lead character of the new Star Wars movie is in fact a woman. And I think we've learned, or we've been able to show, I think a lot of us already knew, that just because things have always been done a certain way doesn't mean that that's the way they should always be done. And I think this movie definitely.
I think, like, particularly in a genre standpoint, like in rom-coms, women are always centered because that's their demo, that's who they're going after. But if you are sci-fi fantasy, sci-fi fantasy, any kind of like random, like, nerdy kind of thing, the women are always underplayed, and they think that no one will watch it. Girls watch it. There's a lot of times where the only girl on the team doesn't need to get the toy that everybody else does. So you can have an action figure of every G.I. Joe ever, but there's like no Lady J. So I think what this proves, particularly in the genre of action and sci-fi and fantasy, that if you pay attention to the character, if you are true to the character, if you are actually dedicated to making a good film as opposed to just doing a cash grab, that people will respond to it. People will respond to the heart of the character because it's there. And I think before, even with, I think the No Man's Land sequence in particular is the moment where it clicks for everybody. And I know guys who are kind of like tearing up in that moment, guys who don't even care about Wonder Woman, that they understood what was happening there, they felt it. And I think that's what's really happening, and I'm so excited. and just to add thing, like, I have nothing to do with the movie either, but like, you asked Danny, I was so nervous that this movie was gonna be bad. Like, it was gonna break my heart, like 100% break my heart. Like for a year, I was like,
I felt, none of us were like involved, but I feel like it was a personal win. Men are still the executives making the decision, so to have this film that was directed by Patty Jenkins and wasn't done in a male gaze. And also having a woman who has never encountered men, so she's never had a man tell her no. And that was that scene, that trench scene. I'm like, yeah, she's never had a guy tell her no in her life, and she's not about to start.
And that's a whole movie too, because like, you know, Steve's like, we can't really do this.
Yeah, they keep telling her that, and she's like,
she keeps doing
I'm
it.
gonna do it anyways, because she's never been trained to listen to dudes. But also, I'm sorry, I also like the fact that they're...
Dudes right here.
You've never been trained to listen to them. I also like the fact that there is strength and power in femininity. It's not masculinity. It's not that they were like, oh, we need to make her masculine. No, there is strength and power in being feminine, in her love. That's what I love about Diana, is that it truly focused on the hero aspect and a new kind of hero, and one that can love. It doesn't have to be dark and violent all the time, even though that is a part of our world. I feel like Diana believes in us when she really shouldn't, that she believes in humanity, and I feel like it was a new kind of superhero that we definitely, I feel like, needed. I feel like that did change the superhero dynamic of a lot of the films that we see.
I think it was just a good lesson or a reminder for everybody, because it's like, I think this happens so often. It's like there was a lot of expectations and everything on Wonder Woman because, oh, you know, Elektra, Catwoman, the bad one. These women can't sell superhero movies, and that's not true. It's this, I wouldn't even say it's one of the best superhero movies. I think it's one of the best movies, period. And it's just, you walk away from it not really thinking it's a superhero movie. And that's not a good or bad thing, but I just think that, wow, this is the biggest movie of the summer. I'm sure there was a bigger one, but the most important.
There wasn't.
It wasn't.
There wasn't. Okay, so look, the biggest movie of the summer, and it just so happens to be about a female, and about a female race, directed by a woman, starring a woman, and I think that's, you know, it's like when Bridesmaids was a big hit. They're like, oh my God, women can do R-rated comedy, so let's make a bunch of crappy ones that go down the drain. So I just think they shouldn't pigeonhole things and just like hire more women directors and you know, have more women producers and look for better, you know, instead of remaking Halloween for the 17th time, although I will see it.
Yes, we will.
You know, it's like, you know, there's so many amazing female superhero characters and female characters to begin with, and of course it would take our girl to usher in the new whatever, but she's been here the whole time, so, you know, it's about time, is what I say.
So I'm a little different than some of the panelists. I had no trepidation from the minute they announced the movie and cast Gal. Literally within 1 minute, I was on Facebook going, we will support her. We will support her. I don't care about her cup size. We will support her. You know, I was on the set of the failed Adrienne Pilicki TV show many times, and I love Adrienne, many times with her. And I felt bad. It was just horrible writing. Horrible production. That spandex was ridiculous. But for this, you know, I'm on a one-to-one, like 10 one-to-one groups online, and we have spent, since I started this like in 97, 98, when I started the online groups, we spend every single day, especially on Wednesdays, talking about how we need a movie, we need a movie, we need a movie. And there was just so much negativity about this movie once it was announced. And she's not pretty enough, she's not muscular, she's not this, she's not that. Patty hasn't done a movie since Monster. And I'm like, shut that F up. Let them do this stuff. And if you look, it's not just Diana that people fell in love with. They fell in love with Hippolyta Antiope, which I can finally figure out how to pronounce her. It's not Antiope. You know, they fell in love with Manalipe. They fell in love with all of these Amazons, and people clamored for Themyscira to be a larger part of the movie. So much so that somehow they're bringing them back from the dead, and Antiope is going to be in Justice League. They rewrote scenes for that to focus on the Amazon. So it wasn't just about Diana, who I've loved since 1976 when I first discovered how to turn the TV channel on and saw Wonder Woman with Linda. It wasn't just about that. It was about the entire world that she came from and her mentality and what she stood for without realizing she was standing for something. She didn't know what she was saying. She just wanted an adventure. She wanted off the island. She knew there was something else out there. And now when Steve crash lands, you know, she was able to say, yeah, I have a reason to go. This movie brought to light not just for women, and I think it did immense for women. Not just for gay guys like myself, which did immense for gay guys who have really bought the comic books consistently with the girls and some of the straight guys. We bought it consistently over and over, even though it was crap. We bought it, like it is now, but we bought it. It brought to light us being able to say, this is our hero. and this is the hero's world, and we want to be a part of it so badly. And Patty said, I'm inviting you in. Come into my world. Come be a part of this and understand that there's a little bit of an Amazon in every one of us, and if it's not, find it within yourself. So, I mean, we like little Steve too, but.
Hi, I'm Little Steve. I'm going to approach this from two different directions, one being the producer in me and the other one being the writer-creator in me. And the producer aspect is very interesting and very simple. The bottom line is, was this a successful movie? Was it marketed well? Yes. But here is always the key on release. This actually tells you whether, because there's always a thing that's called the sampling, which is basically as soon as it hits the theaters, a lot of people are going to go see it because, oh my God, Wonder Woman movie, I have to go see it. Then what happens? What's significant about this film is the fact that it has longevity at the box office, and it has a lot of repeat viewership among males. A lot of repeat viewership. It is sustaining itself. It wasn't just a one-off. This wasn't a sampling thing and like, okay, we're done with it. Even with regular movies and successful movies, you usually have a one-off waiting for the DVD. This actually had people going back to the theaters over and over again. So for the producer side of it, this was an awesome, incredible success. With a female lead and a female director. Gosh, who knew? Now, on the creative side, those of you who are fans of Xena, or and if you've heard me speak about Xena before, you're going to hear a lot of things that I'm going to say, which are my creative ideas and things that I try to do when I write characters, male and female, but we're focusing on a female character now. So you're going to hear me repeat a little bit of that. One of the things that made me nervous about this film was the male vision, because even the most well-intentioned male, myself included, I'm not a woman. That may be a revelation to people, okay? I'm a Y chromosome. I told the story before that many times when I write a female lead in a screenplay, I have a friend of mine who's a female writer. She's a wonderful writer. I'll hand her the screenplay when it's perfect, and I will say, read this and tell me where I left the toilet seat up, because I won't catch that. So one of the things that we wrote Xena, a mindset that we wrote Xena, was that this was a character who could walk into a room with this in her mind. It's in her subconscious. No excuses. No excuses. I am who I am. And what that means is that traditionally, strong female characters have had to apologize for their strength by being feminine. They come in, now feminine, by the way, is a strength, but when I'm talking about feminine in the old way, it's the giggly, like I'm just really just a little girl at heart. It was that kind of an attitude that we used to see. Now with this particular character, no apologies, no excuses. I am who I am. I don't have to apologize to anybody in the room. I have my own strength and my own weaknesses, which are unique to me. Not only that, in Xena, we tried to create the Amazon nations around that particular mold. Now here is a film purely about the Amazon nation, and they're all like this. And, importantly, that's normal. And everybody accepted that that was normal. And in fact, the joke was, the people in the time outside of her realm didn't get it. They were confused by it. That's significant. That is a huge paradigm shift in our thinking. And the fact that this thing, as I said, going back to the producer, the fact that people kept coming back and coming back and coming back tells you this. Men, we're not threatened by this shit. It is not something for us to feel threatened about. And men are realizing that. And to me, that's a huge social change. So that's why this movie really was groundbreaking.
She played that real. She understood, yes, Steve wants to stay on a mission. She is like, well, we have to help these people. And she was not going to move away. Well, this is what I've got to do. And she's like, I'm going to go help these people. She knows there's a mission, but she has time to stop and do it. Those warriors that we know, that you and I know from Wounded Warriors, they know that that's really what happens during war. They know that you can't lose the humanity, and she never lost that humanity. And that resonated with people, whether you've been a warrior or whether you just understand about war or you understand about just life. She was able to resonate and say, yes, you have a pathway you're going to follow. Sometimes you have to do the right thing and go off that path, and you never know where that's going to lead you. And that led her to this journey. On top of that, if you look at it, she Gal played that character straight. She did what Linda Carter did. Linda always said, I'm in a campy show and I'm gonna play it straight. Everybody else can play camp, right? She played that character straight. Steve played that character straight. Then you had, Ludendorff and you had Dr. Poison who were little laughs every now and then. And they were a little bit more campy aspects to it. And it allowed you to see there's all this fantastic stuff happening around her in Aries, etc. She was gonna be the one who was, I'm human. I'm not human, I'm an Amazon, but I'm gonna bring humanity into this. And I think that's what allowed people to resonate with her.
And I feel like, I go back to the character thing, because that's how I always go back to the pillars of a character. So you can, take Batman, for example, and you can do all kinds of tones with him, because his pillar, the things that make him him, are, everything else around him is malleable, right? So if you can nail the part that's the core of that, the thing that resonates with people, then that's what's really gonna get there. And so like we were saying, it's like the writing, which, I was all for Gal doing it, I was all for Patty Jenkins. I was worried about the script because I didn't know how much control anybody would have on it. The New 52 is problematic, and I know that there's a lot of that. I knew there was a lot of that stuff that was influencing the movie, so I was worried, and it was a big relief. And so the pillar of her character to me is, growing up when I was in the 5th grade, I was 5'6", and by the time I was in the 6th grade, I was 5'8". So there are not a lot of tall women in media. There's not a lot of strong women in media. There's not a lot of, there just wasn't when I was growing up. And so when I looked at her, I looked at the things that I wanted to be. It wasn't just like physically strong, but it's like, if I have certain things that I can use to help somebody else, then I should do that. And that's, one of the things that she reinforced. And that's, I think, part of the thing about that movie. She went out and she said, I can do something about this, and I'm going to do something about it. And I think that's what resonates with people. People want to be that person. And you want to be able to, and she was like very human, you could connect with her, she was funny on purpose and without trying to be.
That part where she was like, a baby!
Yeah, she's like, oh, yeah.
Not made out of clay.
Yeah,
because she's still a woman, and it was just like such,
like it was there was the thing, it made her a person and not just this symbol.
And unique, yeah.
Yeah, DC gets a lot of knocks for everybody being a god, which is not necessarily a thing that they're actually doing, and when people are actually writing them right, that's not what's actually happening there. But this is the thing where it let her be a god and a person. And I think that's the thing, that's the draw. And I just, I like have a girl crush on her because anybody who plays Wonder Woman, right, I'm gonna have a crush on her.
But
It's just the thing.
it worked out well because it actually worked out well. They are retconning, I don't know, so the article yesterday, they're retconning Batman vs Superman, where she said 100 years ago I walked away from the horrors of man.
Yeah.
They're saying she would never have done that, and because of the success of her film, they're saying, okay, there's no way this woman would walk away from what she just risked her life and how she saw change. They're now taking the impact of this film and changing all of Snyder's universe, thank God.
I want to say something real quick about.
You do it.
I'm sorry, I was just, because you were talking about the child scenes when she was a child growing up. I had a friend of mine who's a Marine now. When he saw the film, he had an interesting comment about the growth scenes where she was growing up and being trained. And he said, he made a comment to me, he said, because that really touched me because I had that family. My dad was like that, that's what he said. And I made a joke, I said, what, he taught you to do the backflips and the swords and everything? And he said, no, I had a family that loved me enough to do that and make me a better person. Now that is like an identified, it's kind of an identification thing that I didn't expect from somebody like that.
I think it boils down to the character itself. I mean, just with her creation, she was created in the 40s when Dr. Marston thought that there were no positive female influences for girls, and and then it's like Wonder Woman was such a breakout. The Linda Carter, of course, we're not worthy. No, not exactly, but and I think that it just so happens that Wonder Woman comes along. She's been dogged at the opportunity to have a movie for a long time, and people have been dying for this movie, whether you're man, woman, whatever. And since sexism is rearing its ugly head so strongly right now, it's more than time for Wonder Woman to come be a positive role model again. And I love to see everyone dressed as Wonder Woman and 80-year-old women with Wonder Woman sweatshirts on. And if anything, it's like a silent message to the world that women, because we have them all over the place. I was expecting a few more, no offense, but I just think that, you know, the time is always right for Wonder Woman. And when I first started writing Wonder Woman Weekly, I was the bad person who everyone thought of when they hear Wonder Woman. And now I realize that there's like millions like me, so bring it on.
I was gonna say just because I thought it was funny though that you were like, yeah, and these guys, they're telling me that they relate to, can you believe it? Because we've had to relate to their characters for decades. Like, yeah, I see a lot of faces out here that are nodding. I mean, not to me, we have. Like, we as women have always had to identify because we haven't really been offered, especially in media, at least in television and film, we haven't really had a ton of strong female characters and protagonists and superheroes. So, I mean, growing up, a lot of us had to relate to Batman or Superman or Iron Man or whatever, all the mans. So it's not surprising to me. She's a fully developed character, and yeah, I feel like when Patty Jenkins said that she went in, she wasn't directing a woman, she was directing a superhero, and so I feel like that kind of is shown throughout the entire film.
Kim, what are some of your thoughts?
I think it's Wonder Woman always had this capacity in her, but when we were talking about, I hope this is good. If this isn't good, I don't know what's going to happen, because if it wasn't good, we were never going to get another superhero movie helmed by a woman. So we were very worried about that. But the thing is about Wonder Woman is she's always had these wonderful qualities, this great capacity for love and wisdom and this deep humanity, which is ironic being that she's an Amazon. But how easy would it have been for them to screw up the point of this is love? You know, it can come off corny.
Yeah.
But I think they landed it in just the right spot.
Kim, you touched the best part, is that they landed in the right spot. At the end, when she's like, I believe in love. I sat there going, there are going to be straight guys in this audience rolling their eyes. And none of them did. They believed it. They had fallen in love and believed this character for the last 2 hours and realized, no, she is 100% about love. And it was the core value. And if you look at Wonder Woman from 1946 all the way up, everything, when written well, is about love. And the guys related to it. They don't need to just always have beat them up, you know, knock them out and shoot and stab. They wanted to have some heart in the character, and she gave everybody heart.
Exactly, like on your point about they even had to retcon their own movie to make it more authentic to the character. But authenticity is that important, it's worth it at that level. And I think it showed that level of love is something we all have a capacity for. I mean, in that one scene with Steve, which I don't want to say, but it broke my heart.
No, he's not dead.
No.
He bathed in the blue water, somehow that man, he's got a contract extension. That water, why does the water do that thing? Yeah, there's a reason they have that line. He's coming back.
I've had people come to me like, I can't believe her final thing was because of Steve, because of her man. And I thought, no, it's not yes women, no men. It's we all have this ability to feel just love and the human spirit and that strength that comes with it. And that's what I loved about this movie.
She connected with the new world through him.
Right.
Yes.
That was the thing. So her love for him represented her newfound love for this brand new race of people that she didn't know existed.
Also, being a feminist doesn't mean that you can't be in love with a man. Like, there are plenty of married feminists. Like, that to me,